Hello and thank you for joining me today. Well, this is the Monday, March 30th edition of our video devotionals. We appreciate you being with us today, and I hope your Monday's going well. We're a little bit later than normal, getting some things done, but here it is about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I thought we'd do something outside, getting really nice out, and I think all this week's supposed to be a gradual warm up, or not as far as I know, not any of those big shifts upward and downward in the temperatures. So it looks like spring maybe is trying to get here and actually stay here. But otherwise, I hope your Monday's going well. It is the beginning of the work week, beginning of the school week, and of course, we're getting ready to wrap up the month of March. But all that being said, this week is the week that we think about. The emphasis seems to be more on the crucifixion of Christ, because it is the week that leads up to, of course, the resurrection, and we'll celebrate that on Sunday. So I thought our theme this week would be Isaiah chapter 53. The old prophet Isaiah speaks about the crucifixion of Christ, and as much as anything, the opinions of man and the mindset about Christ and all of that, what was in the heart, or what is in the heart even. So we're going to look at that today. So we'll break it down. It is 12 verses. So today we'll look at verses 1 through 3. And then by Friday, we'll be at the very end of the chapter. So we want to say thank you for watching the videos. We appreciate you. We appreciate, obviously comments, acknowledgments, and all of that. So let's jump right into it today, okay? So Isaiah lived approximately 750 years before the birth of Christ, all right? So by the time you would add about another 30 years or so to the actual event of the cross, so we're talking right around 700 to 750 years before the event of the cross, we'll say. So it was a long time, many generations. And so let me show you what, through the Holy Spirit, what was given to Isaiah. It says, "Who hath believed our report, and to whom is the arm of the Lord revealed? For he shall grow up before him as a tender plant, and as a root out of a dry ground. He hath no form nor comeliness," that would be beauty or attraction. "And when we shall see him, there is no beauty that we should desire him." Now notice verse 3. "He is despised and rejected of men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. And we hid as it were our faces from him. He was despised, and we esteemed him not." I looked at that word esteemed. It basically means to think upon, or even to value, to place a value upon. And, when I look at this, I want to go over here to the book of Matthew and read something. Then we'll come back to what we just read. So a partial fulfillment of what we just read is found here in Matthew 27. Matthew 27, beginning in verse 27. And I'm going to read down to verse number 31. And notice this. Now, this is the actual when Jesus is in the process of being arrested and tried, and of course would be crucified. It says, "Then the soldiers of the governor took Jesus into the common hall, and gathered unto him the whole band of soldiers." Let's just stop here a minute. This is not the religious people that for many seasons and sessions, if you please, were trying to get Jesus and get him in this position. They've already done that. Here he is. But as far as we know, the soldiers, for the most part, the Roman government even, had no qualms with Jesus. It was fine. In fact, it just seems like when he was even brought to trial, it's like some explanations had to be made of why he's even there. But here's the soldiers. Now I'm making a point here. The soldiers here, it says, "And they stripped him and put on him a scarlet robe. And when they had planted a crown of thorns, they put it upon his head, and a reed in his right hand. And they bowed the knee before him and mocked him, saying, Hail, King of the Jews! And they spit upon him, and they took the reed and smote him on the head. And after that they had mocked him, they took the robe off from him, and put his own raiment on him, and led him away to crucify him." Here's just a section of the population of the day, of the world, and these will be what we call the secular, if you please. The religious, they hated Jesus, and they did everything they could to bring him to the point of this trial. But the soldiers themselves, they're mocking him. They're spitting upon him. So you see that rejection. Again, if you notice the language, he is despised and rejected of men. a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief, and we hid, as it were, our faces from him. He was despised, and we esteemed him not. The general thought about Jesus and the general idea about Jesus, particularly in that position there, is that of rejection. It is that of placing no value upon him, rejected, and the language here, even despised. No one wants to be despised, and certainly there are people that may give human reasons in a sense that they've really done some gross sins against mankind and all of that. But here's Jesus, the sinless Son of God, who's done nothing but right. He's done nothing but help. He's done nothing but things like raise the dead and feed the 4,000 and 5,000 and to heal and to do all the things that he's done, even stand up for people that others would not even stand up for. So as we get into this week of thinking about the cross and Jesus going to the cross and what he bore, how about the despisement? How about the rejection? Just that alone, imagine that. And here he is, he's doing nothing but for the people, nothing but for mankind, and being the sacrifice for the sins of the world. So we're going to stop right there. And of course, we'll build upon this as we go through Isaiah and read the rest of the chapter. Hope you have a great day, safe day, healthy day, Lord willing. We'll be back tomorrow, and thank you for watching.